It's not happening, Jack. It's not. I don't know if you've watched the difference between Penn State and Michigan. It's not night and day, but it's dawn and dusk. It's not. It's not as close as I think you'd think it is.
Their offense is no question the best in the league. If they can keep this up, I think
Pass
they're going to be
offense.
They're
They
going
have
to
the
be
best
sitting at the
pass
top of the division.
He runs the ball. He's big. He runs the ball
Tall
with
runner.
power. He throws the ball in a way that would make any head coach put their head in their hands because he gambles with the football. And when you have 85 turnovers through 3 years, you're not going to win football games consistently.
Welcome back to On the Board Podcast. I'm Jeff with Morgan, Jack, and Drew. We got a lot to talk about. Week 1 of the NFL just concluded. Yesterday night, college football is in full effect. So let's jump right into it. Drew, what are we thinking about college football? We had a good week 2.
All right, week 2, we had a pretty good week. We had the Iowa State matchup. Iowa 20-13, kept dominating that. Number 8 Washington kept rolling. They beat Tulsa by 33. So did Michigan. They beat UNLV pretty bad. But UNC had a scare against App State 34-40. So that was a pretty good game.
Probably won pass interference.
Oregon hangs on against Texas Tech 38-30. But the game everybody cares about, Wisconsin also got upset. But the game everybody cares about is Alabama-Texas. Horns up, baby. We got 34-24. Texas jumps all the way up to 4th in the rankings, and Bama drops to 10. This is huge. A lot of people are saying this is kind of the end of the Saban era.
I went to the Arizona State football game. We lost. Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you, Morgan.
We can't hold a second half lead, obviously. It's never going to happen. But I was kind of watching it during the first quarter of that game. I watched the first half at my dorm. It was crazy, honestly. That was a game of football. It went against, I think, all of our predictions. I think, unless Jack, or did you pick Texas?
No, everybody picked Bama.
Oh,
Everybody picked Bama.
Yeah.
So that's an L on our part. But that was a great game. I mean, my kind of theory about Alabama did come true a little bit, in where the quarterback play did seem a little bit shaky at times, but it was more defensive. They just had no answers, honestly. There was no answers to the Texas offense, and it was just kind of crazy to watch an Alabama team kind of look lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here's what I'll say. I was there. It was disappointing. First home loss in 4 or 5 years or so. It was the biggest game since 2019 against LSU, which they also lost conveniently. But what I saw from this team is just horrendous. I mean, the offensive line, it looks too big, and the fact where they won't be able to block well enough because they're too big.
The mobility isn't there. There's no ability.
The mobility's not there because they're way too big.
There's no ability to pull. None of their guards can't pull well. Their tackles can't pull well.
I'd also say is Texas matched up really well against Alabama. I mean, from what I've looked at all the other games Alabama plays this year, Texas matched up the best against Alabama. This team is legit. Sark's a really good coach. Coach Saban, I mean, there's nothing you can do. Adonai Mitchell had a good game. Xavier Worthy again had a good game.
I mean, Jalen Milroe just didn't show up. I mean, Tootie's two picks.
Those
like
2 interceptions were horrible. He gave it right to the guy twice, and he was standing right there. It just
Quentin Ewers
and that
of the game, 3 yards, 3
touchdowns. He showed out.
Definitely. And they needed him to show out Texas. I mean, coming into Tuscaloosa, on the road, obviously, anytime you go on the road in college football, it's a tough environment. But especially at Alabama, this is the game where he needed to really show everyone who he was. And he did. I mean, he beat Alabama twice on 2 plays of touchdown passes. And I mean, just launching it. I mean, a cannon of an arm. And he made a
Heroes.
lot of decisions. And, those 2 long touchdown passes, just the nail in the coffin. And I think it really speaks to Alabama's inability to get them off the field, because their defense needed to be a lot better than what they were on Saturday night, and they couldn't do it. And as bad as the offense was, I think you have to look at the defense and go, "What's going on here?" Like, this is an
0
SEC.
sacks.
Yeah, I mean,
Against
That can't happen. That can't happen.
It's not you're playing.
third
You're not playing
down.
like Justin Fields, and you're not playing a hypermobile quarterback. He's not, a pure pocket passer, but he's not gonna, outspeed a defensive end every time. You can't have 0 sacks in that game. Texas, in comparison, I think had 4. I think.
Yeah, like 3 or 4.
They had
Was
1,
not
2,
good.
3, 4, 5.
Man,
5
that's-
sacks.
It's brutal for Alabama. This probably, I mean,
This probably eliminates them from
I
CFP.
wouldn't say it eliminates them necessarily, but it does put them in a really bad spot, especially because not even just because this was like a huge upset, but this was a convincing win against another ranked team for Texas, and Bama. It showed that the transfer portal is hurting them, because for a long time Saban would bring in these guys because they just wanted to play for Bama. And they'd sit for 2 years, play junior year, and maybe senior year, and then enter the draft. And now they're all leaving, so when your starting safety gets a little tired, there's not another first-string quality
Elite.
safety that
Yeah.
can come in and play for him, so he has to stay on the field because he's the best safety on the team, and then he gets torched because he's tired. And that happens across the board, and the transfer portal really killed Nick Saban's recruiting style.
Yeah.
The defense looked gassed. Like, the defense, Texas took advantage of it. I mean, if the defense wasn't so gassed, maybe it would have been a closer game.
But that's how you win a
Texas took
football game.
advantage.
You got to tire your opponent out and then take advantage. Like, they did a really
And
good job.
Jalen Milroe just wasn't. I think
couldn't read the
he's-
defense for anything. It was insane.
Oh,
No,
not
it was
at all.
I mean, I'll call back to the last episode. People watching, if you watched the last episode, I said that he wasn't him. I said he looked okay, but it was against a middling team. I mean, he couldn't read, like Drew just said, he couldn't read the defense to save his life. There was no sign of good decision making there.
It seems like Saban needs to kind of pivot, because now when the talent is more even, these other teams are kind of catching up. So you can't just rely on having Bama players anymore. That you got to
He has to prove
play.
that he's a good
They have to
coach
play a brand of football. They can't just dominate physically anymore.
Right, and with Saban, this is coming off of 2 years straight with a quarterback who was the number one overall pick. They don't have that this year. Milroe played just awful. I mean, he had no. You watch the game and it's like, what's this guy doing? I mean, his interceptions were horrendous, probably worse than Justin Fields on Sunday.
Best sneak that in there.
You don't have the quarterback now. So he's going to have to find – their season isn't over, but he's going to have to find a way to get that offense going, because it really was a low-scoring game up until the second half. And they need to get that offense going again, because I'm going to make it.
And also 21 points in the fourth quarter for Texas. That can't happen. That cannot
Right.
happen. Like, I mean,
There's
going
Arizona
into the fourth
State
quarter,
levels of
Bama was
collapsing.
ahead. Bama was ahead. You can't lose a lead like that. And still make the playoff.
The thing that really annoyed me, was Bama went up. I mean, it was a great drive. They went down. They went up by 4. 1 minute later, they're down. Get the ball back. First play, Monroe throws an interception. Texas gets down to 5-yard line. immediately scores. It's
You
basically
got to give
out
the
of reach
defense a
at that point.
break.
No, you can't.
Gotta
You
figure out
can't.
that
You
running game.
can't just
The
expect.
passing game is not going to be it this year, Jack. No
Oh, I
matter
know that.
who you guys
That's what
put
I
in,
think.
you're going to have to rely on the run game, and unfortunately,
Get me out of here. I think that
You're gonna
Alabama
be able to
should
do
go
that.
to a Arthur Smith type offense that he has with Atlanta.
I mean,
Because
Yeah, I
the
think
running backs,
that's true.
the running game is really good.
not.
That Atlanta
Just couldn't
offense
stop the run.
is good in the NFL, and that they have an underrated
Right.
style of play. And one thing Bama will always have is a super deep running back room.
Yes,
That's one of the
they don't
staples
have an elite
of their team.
standout this year necessarily,
But they
it's
don't have
still
to have
deep.
one.
Yeah, it's still deep. You still have McClellan, Williams, and Miller.
Yeah,
And then the freshman Justice Haynes, who's really good.
yeah. But yeah,
I mean,
that's
those four.
that's bad for. That's really really bad for Alabama.
This is scary too for the future for Bama too, because Texas now seems to be
Texas
in top
is kind of
SEC
back.
contention.
I think
And they have
Texas is
Arch Manning
back.
sitting on. They have Arch Manning sitting on the bench as a redshirt freshman. I mean, this could get really scary for the next few years.
Well, he
isn't-
reclassed really.
Which is not playing
Yeah,
next year.
Well, Tyler
I'm just
Buckner.
I think
thinking
Murphy's going Quinn Ewers is going to, I think, yeah, Quinn Ewers is going to the draft. Then Malik Murphy's going to play for like 2 years.
no,
Then
he'll play for
Arch
a year.
will play.
Yeah, and then
They're
yeah,
gonna
well,
put Arch in as soon as he's physically ready. Right now, I'm sure they'd like to put him in, but he's still. I think if he hadn't reclassed so aggressively, he'd still be a senior in high school. So, I mean, I think they're doing it right. They got him in early. He's gonna know every piece of this offense by the time he gets playing time. But yeah, I think Texas is back.
Well, I gotta ask Jack, because talking about players sitting on the bench, Tyler Buckner, the Notre Dame transfer, the backup quarterback for Alabama. Honestly, when I was watching that game, I was like, why the hell isn't he not in the game? I mean, this guy was somewhat decent at Notre Dame. I think he'd be a lot better than Milroe. So what are your thoughts on Buckner? He should probably be the starter.
Before the season, I was like, okay, I don't like him at all. I don't know why we brought him in. It was a stupid decision, but I think it was a good decision now. Because Ty Simpson's a freshman. He's not going to be able to win those big games because he doesn't have any experience. Milroe's started 4 games in his entire career at Alabama. So Buckner has experience in big games. Buckner, I think, fits this offense better. He's not as mobile as Milroe. He has a better arm. And when you need him to run it, he probably can. And
arguably, I don't think lacking an arm is the big situation. You need somebody who has decent ability to read the defense.
The problem with
and
Milroe
that's
isn't the arm; it's the reading the defense.
his
pocket presence
his football
is really
mental
bad.
is not there. It is non-existent, basically. There's no football mental. He looks like he's a chicken with its head cut off, just walking around in the pocket trying to find something and just throwing it in random places.
Morgan, going back to your point on the future, next year, the next couple of years, their schedule is really tough. With next year, they are at Wisconsin, at Oklahoma, at LSU, at Tennessee, home against Georgia. Just name a few games. But quarterback coming in next year, Julian Sayin, 5-star. I'm pretty sure he's either the number 1 or number 2 quarterback in the class of 2024. They have 2 5-star wide receivers in Ryan Williams and Jamie French, who are 2025. But I've heard from multiple sources Ryan Williams will be classified to next year.
You think he'll
And
play
Ryan
though?
Williams
I don't think they'll play him.
I don't know if he'll play.
That happens. They're not
I think
gonna play him.
Sayin
They
is
won't
going to
play him.
probably have to play because
Not gonna play a senior. I don't care if he's a 5-star. He would be a senior in high school. They're not gonna play a senior in high school against SEC opponents, especially of the caliber of Georgia, LSU. Even they're not gonna do that.
Yeah. They won't do that.
Redshirt him. I doubt their 5-star recruit plays as a freshman quarterback. We'll see. He might.
Might have to. I mean, I don't know who else we'd even have at that point. because I mean Buckner's maybe Buckner stays. It really the quarterback situation. It depends on how it plays out the rest of the year. If it plays out like Miller did Saturday night, we're gonna probably have to start saying. But I hope we have him on the bench so he can learn for a year. But
I mean, the thing is, they'll just get somebody to transfer in. They will get a solid quarterback who can hold it down to transfer into Alabama because it's still Alabama. They're not going to need that freshman starter. They'll find somebody okay from just transfer in.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen.
All right, so
and
you go ahead, Jack. Just finish off the conversation here.
I forgot what I was going to say. Forget it. I can't think of what I was going to say.
So we're going to shift our focus here up to week 3 of college football. Biggest matchup we're probably looking at is LSU Mississippi State. That could be a big one for the rankings. And a potential trap game we got here, Tennessee Florida. That could be. I think Tennessee's rating is a little inflated right now. They're at 11. I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did struggle with Austin Peay.
So it definitely could be a trap game. I think Florida's going to come out, probably going to throw everything they have at Tennessee. And again, that's a team where, again, they should probably drop 10 spots from the way they played on Saturday. So many teams underperformed.
Yep.
And State is still good.
The other possible trap game is probably number 8 Washington versus Michigan State.
That's
not even because Michigan State is a really great team right now. It's just because they're always going to have talent and they can pull off an upset.
Spartan Stadium's a tough place to win.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think Washington is one of those teams where they've looked good this year, and they've
looked really good
for a lot of
it. Really good.
I know Georgia, number 1, they had a better week this past Saturday as opposed to 2 weeks ago. But Washington's the one top 10 team that's looked somewhat consistent over these 2 weeks. Their first week against Boise State, they surged in the second half, did it again this past week. So, it could happen. It could be a trap game for Michigan State or for Washington. But I think they pull away. And I don't think it's going to particularly be close.
This could be a Heisman-defining game for Michael Penix.
I don't think Penix is even in the conversation anymore.
He might be, but I think it's too early to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's early, but I still think my pick probably right now is still Travis Hunter.
What could be
top 4 right now is probably Caleb Williams, Shedeur Sanders, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix.
Isn't Travis Hunter not in there? No, Shedeur Sanders is definitely the leader right now, I think. He's got 950 passing yards through 2 games against.
He's been insane.
He's been incredible.
It's gonna be what could be a good game, and is a low key game, is if Duke can keep it up against Northwestern. Northwestern isn't a great football team, but it will be another test for Duke. That could be a fun game to watch. I'd keep a eye on that.
All right.
I don't think it's gonna be an amazing game, but just one to watch out for. Just in case.
Riley Leonard's pretty solid quarterback. I mean, one of the better ones Duke has ever had.
Daniel Jones.
No.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but I got some stuff to say. But, I think... I don't know, this playoff race is interesting because as of right now, only 2 of the 4 people that in 2 episodes ago that we had predicted would be in the playoff are currently set to make it.
That's
I know
Michigan.
it's only week 2, but that's Michigan and Georgia. And those were basically our 2 locks.
Yeah. I mean, FSU. My roommate's an FSU fan.
They look so good.
FSU fan. I haven't heard the end of it.
But you know who also looks really good? Penn State.
Yeah, they look good. They look real.
Penn State looks really good. As of right now, I think Penn State goes into Columbus and wins.
Ooh.
That could be
It
good.
could happen.
Kyle McCord, the quarterback play in Ohio State's been.
Sure.
Kyle McCord's been really bad.
Yeah.
He hasn't had time to develop, and if they don't have a set quarterback or a good quarterback by the time they host Penn State. Penn State keeps rolling like the way they do right now. I see them coming into Ohio State and maybe winning by 10.
I mean, Ohio State quarterbacks just aren't a good thing anymore. I mean, we'll talk about the other
They've
Ohio
never
State
been a good
QB
product.
who exists later.
And NFL.
But, like,
Yeah.
they've just shown that for some reason, they can't produce quarterbacks.
Right. And the thing with Penn State is they beat Ohio State. Michigan. They had Michigan at home. I mean,
They're not beating Michigan.
It's not the whiteout game, but
they're not going to beat Michigan.
Michigan hasn't had much success in Happy Valley as of recent.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not happening, Jack. It's not. I don't know if you've watched the difference between Penn State and Michigan. It's not night and day, but it's dawn and dusk. It's not as close as I think you'd think it is. Michigan looks very good. I personally think FSU is probably my favorite right now. Georgia being number one, they look the least inspiring.
I think they're only number one is because they haven't done anything to show that they shouldn't be number one. So it's
but they don't look like the most inspiring team. I think that's FSU and then Michigan and then Ohio, then Ohio. I guess Penn State. I agree. Then Penn State. Then
USC looks good.
Yeah, the defense is going to be a problem.
What happens? But I don't know when they face a very good team, we'll see what happens if they can win that shootout. They haven't faced a team with a good defense. They won't face one for a few weeks, I don't think. I mean, who do they play next week?
Nobody.
Yeah, and then they play
Arizona State. Arizona State? No, they play Arizona State.
No, we play Fresno State, which we're gonna lose. But then they play Arizona State on the night.
Oh no, yeah, USC's next game is Arizona State. Because they have 3 games played right now. So.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. So we're moving pro here. Week 1 of the NFL is officially over. This was probably one of the more eventful week 1s I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
This is some incredible stuff. The Chiefs go down, the Bengals go down, and the Bills go down. So that's pretty much everybody's consensus, like top 3 big dogs in the AFC. They all went down. So we'll start off with Lions Chiefs. Lions looked solid. I think they're missing JMO right now. When he gets back, they're going to be really dangerous because they didn't really have that deep threat. Goff couldn't air it out. But the running game looked great. Monty looked really good. Jahmyr Gibbs looks electric. The Chiefs looked very uninspired.
They did.
What about Kadarius Toney?
Oh, God, man.
They got wide receiver issues.
Yeah,
and it's going to haunt them.
Big time.
Because I think Kelsey's going to come back and they're going to be all right.
That's not going to fix the problem.
Because
you can't throw to the outside. If you can't throw to the outsides of the fields, you cannot win football games.
Right. So Kansas City,
you can't just target Kelsey
the middle of the field. With Travis Kelce on these RPOs. And you're going to need solid wide receivers to have an offense that can be sustained for the entire year. Because on Thursday, they just look like garbage. Mahomes just runs around and throws 50-yard passes that hits guys right in the hands and they can't catch them.
That is true, but also there were some of these passes that Mahomes threw that were not great reads.
Yeah, they were.
Right,
a couple of the Toney drops were not really Tony's fault.
And some of them are behind the receiver, so it's a lack of
throwing it at their knees as they
like,
cross on the mesh pattern. They're more worried about not hitting their own guy than catching the ball at that point, because that ball has to come out a little later. Like, there's certain things they looked a little out of sync without Kelsey on the field, and
I mean, half of the CFB tried to impersonate Kadarius Toney this weekend. And so did half of the NFL.
That they could have won that game if Tony didn't drop that pass
There
late,
was
because
so
that
much-
was
I mean,
he had
in
it in
this-
his hands and it just came
Just to
out.
pivot off real
And then
quick.
they-
And it ended up for 7.
It
There
was
was so
brutal.
many missed drops this week. There were
I
so
think
many dropped
Yeah,
balls this week.
yeah.
There were so many good
the
ones.
turning point of that game, I think, was Brian Branch's pick six.
Yes,
Oh, 100%.
that was
That
the
was
tone
one-
setter
that
of
game,
the game.
Detroit.
And then I think the turning point was when Sky Moore dropped that deep ball,
Yep.
because
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
Yeah.
a chunk of yardage there that they really needed.
That was,
How about
it was-
Aiden Hutchinson?
He was incredible. He was the best player
He
on the
was
field.
causing them problems. Yeah,
The
he
fact that he
caused
didn't get a
Mahomes a
sack,
lot of
it's just-
problems.
Well, Jawan
Sad.
Taylor
I mean-
had to cheat the whole game to keep
Yeah,
him off
yeah.
Mahomes, and he was still
I
in
know
there.
that was ridiculous.
False start on every
First
play.
officiating.
Okay, there was this one play. I'll try and put it on the screen. I don't know if it'll get blocked or not, though. He puts a spin move on Jawan Taylor, burns him, and he's going to get into the pocket. Mahomes rolls out to the right, and then he burns him on another spin move, just back out. It was incredible. Like,
I saw
Jawan
that.
Taylor
That
is
was
not a bum.
amazing.
Jawan Taylor is a good right tackle, and he was just getting worked the entire
Because he
game.
cheats every play.
Yeah, and he was jumping every time.
And-
It was just incredible from Hutchinson.
It reminded me of Super Bowl
Just
50
beating
with
him when
Von
he was
Miller
false
against
start.
Mike Remmers every single time, just burns him.
Yeah,
And he was an issue for Kansas City.
he was. He's going to be an issue all year. When he plays teams that don't have a quarterback like Mahomes that's so good at improvising,
Oh, it's
then
bad. It's gonna be
over.
bad.
There's going to be so many
Once-
sacks.
I mean,
Well, Chiefs fans at least
Kirk
Jones
Cousins-
signed an extension.
they play the Vikings. It's gonna be a massacre. That NFC
Oh my
North match.
gosh! Yeah.
Vikings. That's gonna be a massacre for Kirk
Dude,
Cousins. He's gonna
the
get.
Vikings. That's another game I wanted to touch on. No
Oh,
pass
God.
blocking at all.
Dude,
No.
that was horrendous. I mean, the Bears had better pass blocking.
It was terrible.
It was horrendous.
Jefferson
And
had
that
140
speaks
yards at
of
the
for-
half, and he finished with 150.
That
That-
speaks of fortune because there was a Bears play. I saw it on Twitter, I think, and 4 of their 5 linemen were turned towards Fields.
Mhm.
That's just unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, that was brutal.
And the fact that can be the Vikings were worse than that is just horrendous.
Yeah.
And let Baker Mayfield go off.
Baker Mayfield
Right.
showed what everybody
He back.
liked so much about Baker Mayfield. He
Yeah,
was
it's
throwing
still
it.
there.
He was running the ball. He was putting his shoulder down, and he was talking smack after the play, which is how
Yeah.
he's good. What if his confidence is up? He is a very good quarterback in this league. When his confidence gets shattered a little bit, or even just rattled, like it goes downhill pretty quick. But yeah,
No question.
what do we got here? Saints Titans. That was a horrible game.
That was a bad
That
game.
was really
Tennessee's
garbage.
got a
That
lot
was
of issues.
horrible.
16-15.
The Titans
Horrible.
The Titans have a lot of issues on offense, and it starts
Yeah.
with Ryan Tannehill. He played terrible that game. He might have played the worst out of any quarterback up until Daniel Jones on Sunday night. Because, 3 interceptions, and probably could have been 5 if 2 of them weren't dropped by the Saints. They got to figure out that offense because it's just not there. Going into week 1, I thought they could kind of get some rhythm going, with DeAndre Hopkins and
Henry
Derrick
only
Henry.
had 60 yards.
But
Yeah.
you've got 3 quarterbacks on the roster. It's time to see what the other 2 can do because
You got
Tannehill
Malik
did not
Willis on
play
the
well.
roster, and you're still pushing Tannehill out there, and he's still
They're-
not
you-
making
You
plays.
drafted Levis just to put him at the 3rd string. You have
That's
2
wild
young
to me. That's wild
quarterbacks,
to me.
and you're playing Tannehill, who played like garbage, and he played the entire game. They did not take him out. 3 interceptions. He should have had 5 interceptions that game. That offense is in the gutter, and it needs to get itself a new quarterback. And you've got 2 young ones on the roster. Tannehill's done. He's had his years. Pick one of the other 2 because it's ridiculous to have that deep of a quarterback field and to have Tannehill the one that starts.
If you draft a quarterback who eats a banana with the peel on, you better play that damn quarterback. He better be not sitting in the
Or
third
puts
string
mayonnaise
spot.
in coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On-
If you're gonna
in his
draft
coffee.
somebody who does that type of heinous garbage, he better be playing football.
That's a football player right there. Next, we got Niners Steelers. This one just wanted to touch quickly. 30-7 blowout. Pickett looked awful. The Niners looked really, really, really good. That offense was
back.
That offense
Brock
was
Purdy,
clicking.
CMC was purring. George Kittle was purring. I mean,
Are there any doubts about Brock Purdy?
No, he played so
I
well.
think that game. I had a little bit of doubts in the off season and up until Sunday, but after that, it's like, well, it's his team now.
And Brandon Ayuk looks bona fide wide
Oh
receiver.
my God.
He was just everywhere. He was wide open. He was mossing people. Patrick Peterson was talking a little bit of trash, and then he got 3 touchdowns scored on him.
Hooked.
Yeah.
CMC
looked really good.
He is not the same.
CMC looked like CMC. Like, he looked like what we know he is.
He was running hard. He was great off the flat when he would get the ball in the pass game. Just looked really good.
Patrick Peterson's not really that good anymore.
No, he's past his prime. They picked him up, and now he's starting for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Finally missed.
But here's the thing. That Steelers defense is no joke. They are decent. And they just got diced up the whole game.
Hooked. They got chopped, diced, pureed, and sizzled in a pan. I mean, just absolutely cooked and served on a five Michelin star chef menu right there. I mean, that's a Gordon Ramsay style cooking right there.
Yeah, and that Niners defense, I was watching some of the game. Every time the Steelers would put run the ball outside or do like a screen or anything, it was like 11 to the ball. They were everywhere. And some of the covers these guys get, like Fred Warner running across the field, incredible. Like he'll start the play on the right hash, the play will go to the left sideline, and he's there making he's first man on the ball. It's incredible.
Fred Warner's insane.
He's top 5 linebacker in the league right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No.
Maybe top 2.
He's very good. It depends what you consider a linebacker, but
right.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons is the only better linebacker.
Micah Parsons doesn't even play linebacker. He's a linebacker, but he rushes the court. He's an edge rusher basically. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, but he's officially a linebacker technically.
And then
for time,
they also have
best in the league.
They also have Tyler Noah Hufanga. Who's
he was incredible too. But yeah, and then last one before we get to the primetime games and the 2 teams where we've got fans here. Bengals looked horrible. I don't even want to talk about it. It was just a disgusting football game.
Cleveland looked terrible too.
They looked awful. It was just a garbage game.
Deshaun women respecter Watson, once again, horrendous. I mean, looked a little better than last year.
But that one pick, he threw it. It looked like he put everything under it, and it went like 10 yards right to Logan Wilson. Like, Logan Wilson didn't have to move. He threw it right to him.
That one did get tipped, though.
Yeah, I know, but still, it was really funny.
Yeah, that's still not a good pass.
But yeah, Myles Garrett was just messing around out there. And he got like 3 sacks. It was just brutal. Raiders, Broncos, 17-16.
Jimmy G.
The Raiders looked decent. Jimmy G looked good. He had good connection with Jacoby Myers, yeah.
First place in the division for the Raiders.
All right.
And week 2, let me just say this about the Raiders. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Buffalo next week.
I wouldn't be either. Buffalo did
not look good.
Keep an eye out on
for
that.
We'll get to Buffalo. We'll get to them. Don't you worry.
I don't think they lose to Buffalo, but...
All right.
We'll get to it.
Here's where we're going to go a little more in depth. First game we're going to talk about, Dolphins-Chargers. Dolphins 36, Chargers 34. Tua goes off. Tyreek Hill has an incredible game. Herbert looked a little underwhelming, but they kept it close.
Slobber knocker of a game. That was the best game of the week, in
Austin
my opinion.
Eckler looked good. The rushing game was just on point. They almost had 200-yard rushers. That run defense for Miami looks a little sketch. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, the defense is definitely an issue.
Well, the pass defense looks good.
Considering week 1.
The run defense looks a little bit suspicious.
Right, run defense is... And even the pass defense, there's some instances where it's ridiculous. I mean, 3rd and 5 17. They're giving up 40-yard plays. I think the takeaway from this is obviously the offense, because you look at Tua, his first regular season game since Christmas of last year, 466 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think that's pretty good. Tyreek Hill was off the charts, and they've reminded people, if you didn't know already, that they've got that connection down, that dynamic duo, Tua to Tyreek.
Well,
Of course, there's Jalen Waddle too.
I actually wanted to comment on that because last year it looked a little bit like Tyreek was bailing Tua out on some of those throws. Like, he'd have to come back, but he'd still score because he's Tyreek Hill and he's maybe the most dynamic open field player in the league. But this game, Tua was hitting the throws. He was hitting the
He
throws
was,
perfectly.
and this is something
He was not getting bailed out.
where
He's beating the
in the Ravens game, he did a little bit last year. At early last year, he kind of did bail Tua out because he had a little bit of an issue with the ball placement and underthrowing his receivers. That got better when they went to Buffalo in the snow, when they played against the Browns, they played against the Texans. That got better last year. And this year, week 1, on this past Sunday, he looked perfect. I mean, there was that interception where it was just kind of a jump ball, and Braxton Berrios decides to fall down instead of jump with his feet to try and get the ball. And he was making all sorts of throws. He was running out of the pocket, throwing dimes on the sideline. And really, the biggest play of the game was that 3rd and 10. He steps up and launches a perfect ball to Tyreek Hill, 47 yards. I don't think he makes that throw last year at this point early on. But he looks perfect. He looked perfect yesterday, or 2 nights ago. But
talk about a statement performance from Tua. I mean,
it was a statement.
Even I was downing him because of his concussion in the offseason, because no one was like, okay. People were like,
you can't predict concussions, guys. That's not a thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's concussions.
Yeah, like, okay,
having a concussion does not. You can't predict it like you can with an ankle injury, like a hamstring injury. You can say, well, this puts them at a higher risk of a hamstring injury later. That's not how concussions work.
I'll say
he's
this
still going to be
Dolphins.
as good as he was. Is he going to get better?
Yeah, the confidence was in question, but
I
think he needed the offseason, and he's got it back.
He did, yeah.
Right, and I'll say this about the Dolphins is that their offense is no question the best in the league. If they can keep this up, I think they're going to be sitting at the top of the division right now.
Now, okay,
I'm
going to disagree with you here.
Let
me disagree with you here. I think in the NFC, I think the Niners' offense might be the best in the league, just because of the all-aroundness of it. And then in the AFC, I know that Joe Burrow just threw for 82 yards in a game.
No.
But
Tua threw for 466. Come on.
After, let's say like week 4 or so, because Joe Burrow had no training camp, none of the starters play in the preseason, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. They don't even play a series together.
Issue.
So there's no
Bears issue right there.
There's no O-line synergy for the Bengals because Zach Taylor decides that he doesn't want any starters playing. So there's no chemistry at all on an actual full-speed football field. But I think once you get to like week 4 or so and everything's clicking, they have the best offense in the league, and it's not close.
I think the Dolphins have by far the best pass offense in the league. I think the 49ers are the best overall. The best pass offense.
It's not even close.
Okay, look, you have to wait until like week 6 or so to start judging because we don't know what some of these teams are going to look like. The Eagles' offense looked really bad against the Patriots.
Yeah, but
they could
Miami looked insane.
They can turn it around.
It's different. It's a little bit different because you've got to look at it from a connection standpoint with all these offenses. We'll touch on this a little bit later, but Buffalo, they look terrible on offense. Josh Allen played horrible. And I'm not saying they're going to play bad like this. And, of course, Joe Burrow, the next time he throws for 82 yards, it'll probably never happen.
Right.
But you got the sense, you got the feel with the Dolphins is that they're on track, they're on pace, that offense is clicking.
Right.
And to do it in week 1, I mean, like 466 yards and 3 touchdowns, Hill going for 215. That's a statement right there. And I think that from a throwing standpoint, the passing game, they have clicked early, and I don't think it's going to stop.
This was not an old man Brady special from Tua where it's a bunch of checkdowns followed up by Tyreek running for 500 yards after the catch. These were legitimate deep bombs on the dot, right to Tyreek and Jalen for good yardage, and then there was some yards after catch. But
right, I mean,
still think
that also
until I'm proven wrong
is
right
the
now,
sign of a good quarterback.
I'm gonna say that they'll have the best pass offense.
If you can throw your receivers open into space for run after catch, then that's also playing well as a quarterback.
True.
Right, and
but there is some. I mean, I'm talking more of the screen.
Yeah.
I mean, just played insane, honestly, and that's why I think. I mean, if Tua can keep this up anywhere near this production, same thing with Tyreek. I mean, it's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
Right, and you get the sense with Tua is that they run a lot of play action and RPOs, and they attack the middle of the field. And you got the sense that Tua knew where he wanted to go with the football, and he got it there. You don't really get that sense from other teams that this is exactly what we want to do, and to execute it as good as Miami did. You know, there's a reason Tua's the leading candidate for MVP now. He's got the best odds.
Okay, after week one, let's calm down.
It's week one. That the MVP. We can't talk about MVP until
he's got the best. It's something. He's got the best odds.
Okay, the odds, great. Like,
but I think this is a scary offense. I don't think you can look them off. And when it comes to the division with the AFC East, I think they're sitting on top, and I think that the Bills are falling, and I think they're falling.
All right, next up, let's jump to Sunday Night Football real quick. I don't think we have much to say about this game. This was atrocious from the Giants. Dak Prescott did not play well at all.
No.
And they won 40-0.
Yeah. He played
ridiculous.
Like crap. And
the run defense for the Giants was non-existent. The blocking was non-existent. Every time Daniel Jones went out there, I feel like he knew he was just about to get smoked.
I mean, I'm sure most of you have seen the stat.
They weren't blocking.
I know we've all seen this stat, and I'm sure some of the people watching have also seen this. But the stat where it's no team in a season has gone -7 in sack differential, -3 or over in turnovers, blocked field goal return for a touchdown, all that crazy stuff. In one season, let alone one game. I mean, that was some of the most atrocious football I've ever seen. Daniel Jones got his bag and disappeared. He just...
I don't want to pin that fully on Daniel
necessarily
Jones.
Isn't even on his own.
It wasn't. The whole team.
How can you pin that on the quarterback when the moment he snaps the ball, Micah Parsons is jumping on his face?
Like I said.
Like
I just said, I'm not going to put a bunch of this on Daniel Jones. There were a few bad throws, but there was nothing. Most of it was on him having -5 seconds in the pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, dude.
Bad.
I mean, you can't get confidence started if you don't. If the first play off the bat you're getting ran at by freaking Micah Parsons, it's not going to work.
And also,
you're going to get destroyed.
That pick six, Saquon Barkley just dropped the ball. Like, I mean, it was bad. And then the receiver situation does not look better. It was bad last year.
That's another thing. They got nobody for him to throw the football.
He doesn't have anybody to throw to. Jalen Hyatt could not get open.
Aaron Waller is their best.
Now, granted, this Cowboys defense is really, really good, but they're not that good to where you're losing 40-0. This was a lot of this was on the Giants just being.
I mean, it was
not
dysfunctional
football,
it was a disaster from the start.
Yeah, and they kept trotting Daniel Jones out there to get smoked. They pay him all this money, and they say, "Let's 5 minutes left in this game. We're down 35-0 or whatever. Let's trot Daniel Jones out here and get him sacked 2 more times."
And the offensive line was terrible. I mean, every time he would snap it, you said it. I mean, he'd get sacked. I mean, how many 7 sacks I think they had?
It's ridiculous.
Yes, 7.
Pathetic. And I don't even know how. There's so much that went wrong with the Giants, is that I don't even think you try to fix it and go into detail. I think you just have to say, forget about this. This was terrible.
on,
Act
yeah.
like it never happened. Because
mean-
it's same thing with the Bears. I mean, as bad as they played, it's like teams like that. You can't even fix all that went wrong.
I mean,
And
Graham
you just
didn't
have to
play terrible.
restart because it's
Yeah.
just horrible.
It was every single position on that football field played bad for the Giants. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, when people are talking about how your kicker did bad, that's also every single position. I mean, Graham Gano was terrible. Offensive line was terrible. Defensive line was terrible. Daniel Jones has some excuse. Wide receivers, they don't have any. I mean, tight end's the only position where you can argue that it was okay, I guess.
No,
Even
yeah,
then, it wasn't
Waller
great.
looked okay. I mean, I would hope
Like,
he
but
does.
that's
They
the
gave
best
up,
I can say.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
it was just bad. And,
Yeah,
they gotta
Dallas
move on.
defense
They gotta
fantasy
move
owners are
on.
probably jumping for joy right
Oh
now.
my gosh, they had
Yeah.
an insane fantasy game. They had like
30
35
points.
points.
Like what,
Ridiculous.
36?
They
Yeah, like
outs-
35, 36 points.
They outscored most
Every quarterback.
most running backs and receivers. It was
Yes, they did.
It was bad.
It's insane.
So-
It was insane.
We kind of all have a consensus on that one. Packers Bears. Jordan Love
Okay.
looks like the real deal. The Bears look worse than last year. The defense
Did-
non-existent. The
This
run
was-
blocking, pass blocking non-existent. Receivers non-existent. Throwing the ball more than 5 yards down the field non-existent.
2 plays. 2 plays for over, I think 2 plays for over 10 yards passing. Horrendous. Getting rid of David Montgomery was a terrible idea. Khalil Herbert is not a number one back. You have a third down back trying to run number one and first and second down plays. It's
Yup.
horrendous. I mean, the secondary showed no signs of life. They were getting cooked. Justin Fields did not look good. He didn't play to any strength. He didn't run the ball. I mean, he still led the team in rushing. I mean, it's terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible.
Yeah. But the thing is, Luke Getsy was horrible. Luke Getsy made really bad play calls. You can't just go run up the middle.
Play calling was
run
not
up the
great,
middle.
but you got to do something with it.
It's
True,
tank
that's
time.
true.
It's tank time. Justin
You
Fields
can't just
is not
call-
the answer.
Can't just call run up the middle 2 times in a row against the best run defense, one of the best run defenses in the league, and do screen pass on 3rd and 15 and expect it to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Targeting
And trust
DJ
Fields to go
Moore
downfield
for
at all. 2
twice.
times they targeted DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Twice for
Matt
25
Eberflus-
yards. When they were targeting him, it worked, but they did it twice. I mean, Cole Kmet was absent.
How are you going to pay him more money than George Kittle? And
He's going to be absent.
and he's not
No,
going to even get plays called
This
for
is-
him? Well,
Yeah, exactly.
What are we doing?
This is
Really,
terrible.
what really takes me off is Matt Eberflus blamed basically the entire loss on Justin Fields.
Yeah,
He didn't.
okay.
He didn't put a
It
single
wasn't
blame
all
on the
Justin Fields'
coordinators.
fault. The defense was Swiss
A lot of
cheese.
it was.
But there is one specific play that showed me that Justin Fields is not an NFL quarterback. And it was the pick six to Quay Walker.
God.
They run
This was so
3.
bad.
There's 5 routes on this play. 2 down the field. Darnell Mooney running a crosser across the field, and there's 2 checkdowns, and I think one of them's Cole Kmet. It's 3rd and
Cole Kmet's
11. The
wide
checkdowns
open.
are not covered at all. There is nobody there to make a tackle. They can
It was
easily
a
make
10-yard
this first
gain.
down. He looks Darnell Mooney in the eyes the entire route. There's 2 people on Darnell Mooney. He looks him in the eyes, stands perfectly still in the pocket, and throws it right to Quay Walker. It was disgusting.
Stupidest thing I've
It was
ever
horrible.
seen. You had
That was bad. And
Kmet
the
was
thing
a-
is, Chase Claypool was non-existent. He didn't even
Yeah,
try.
no, he wasn't blocking.
Well,
horrible.
he doesn't want to be on the field, Chase Claypool.
No,
doesn't.
he doesn't
They
want to
got
play
issues
He
football.
doesn't
with
want to do
him.
anything.
His personality
get
is going to
anything for
drag
it.
that team down.
For sure.
I think somebody from ESPN said he was basically sleepwalking out there.
Yeah.
And Drew,
saw
I
that.
wanted to.
It was
I
Kyle
wanted to
Brand, I think.
reply. Yeah, I wanted to go back on your point that said that at the start of this, where you said that they looked worse than last year, and I'm going to disagree with that. They look like the exact same team that they were
No,
last
they
year.
were worse.
This team added so many more players, so much more
That's true.
playmakers.
That's
DJ
true.
Moore, Robert Tunyon. What the hell are you doing? DJ Moore's got 2 receptions the entire game. Are
was
you
like 2
kidding
targets,
me?
too.
They had the
You traded
had the number
first
1 pick.
overall pick for DJ
The
Moore
number 1 pick
and not use
they
him.
had. And
Ridiculous.
Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, they all had respectable games. What did the Bears do? Not throw
And
the guy that you traded that pick for. 2 receptions the entire game is absolutely ridiculous. This offense might be the worst in the league. It probably is the worst in the league. They have so many issues that entire game. And Justin Fields, again, I don't know, some Bears fans are trying to like shield the blame from him. Face the reality. This guy is terrible. He has no business being on the field whatsoever. You are going to host your most hated rivals. This is the longest rivalry in the NFL. Packers and Bears, week 1. And you go out there and do what you did on that field. That it was absolutely disgraceful. And, week 2, they've got the
100%.
Buccaneers. It might not get better, but Fields has got to go because it is ridiculous. You trade the number 1 pick to get DJ Moore, and he gets 2 grabs.
They got to scheme.
His first
They have
game.
to scheme more for them. I don't blame him for not throwing to Moore because he wasn't getting plays called for him. But, I mean, it was just... The fumble was inexcusable. Like, you have to protect the ball better in that situation. Especially because that was a deep play call. And, all this complaining about not throwing the ball deep. And then the moment you get the chance to throw the ball deep, you decide to tuck it and run right up the middle. And then you fumble. Like,
I mean, it was
I get
so
that nobody
bad.
was open and the check down hadn't even made it out of the backfield yet before there was somebody on you. But there's a lot of other quarterbacks in this league that have a better pocket presence than Justin Fields. I'd say maybe a good 80% of quarterbacks have a better pocket presence than him.
The terrible thing is he's regressed from last year. Last year he would have rolled out of the pocket and ran to the side instead of going gun up the middle where there's 2 amazing D tackles. No, he would have ran out to the side at least or tried to. This was horrendous. I mean, Caleb Williams is. I think the tank's on. Honestly, I mean Justin Fields is not him. It's time to get your quarterback for the future again and try again and reset.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're the worst team in the league. I think people saying the Cardinals are worse. I don't see it.
Cardinals
I get they played the Commanders
kind of well against the
but they
Commanders.
looked okay. Joshua Dobbs looked okay. I mean,
Josh Dobbs also isn't meant to be the franchise permanent star quarterback.
Exactly.
Of that team.
This is true.
There is a violently different set of expectations for the Cardinals than there is for the Bears.
Yep.
And I think even if the Cardinals are a worse team, the Bears are worse because they have a much higher goal than the Cardinals right now.
Yes. And I think every NFL fan can have that. It could have thought, at least before this season started and even in the preseason, this Bears team is better than last season's Bears team, and it is not.
In Madden, maybe.
In Madden it is, I think. I mean, I have Madden pulled up right now. I think we're worse. I mean, or better, but, we shouldn't be. This is so bad. I mean, it's time to press the reset button again. I mean, Stone Cold Ryan Poles, he tried. I mean,
he tried all right. Didn't go very well.
I mean,
let me just make this
there's
point.
only so much you can do
when you sign mediocre players to star contracts, your team actually isn't that good. But
they don't want to pay anybody any money.
Yeah, you got to re-sign.
Let me just say something.
You have to re-sign Roquan.
That was the
free agency. They screw it up every year. They don't pay these guys money. These big free agents pay them money. You have a lot of money to spend. Pay these guys.
You want to know why they don't do that? Because the McCaskies don't want to. They don't let.
That's my point. They don't pay.
You know,
the Bengals
the
had that problem
McCaskies
for a
want
really
all the
long
money
time.
for themselves.
The Bengals had that problem for a really long time. We had okay teams every year. We were mediocre. We'd make the playoffs, losing the wild card. Marvin Lewis would get extended for 2 more years. And Mike Brown would never guarantee money to anybody. So Cincinnati, which is an already kind of unappealing free agent destination, nobody wanted to go because there was no guaranteed money. You know what can change that? A genuine franchise quarterback. We got Joe Burrow. all of a sudden we're handing out guaranteed money like it's nobody's business. Orlando Brown, before Burrow got his deal, got the most guaranteed money in Bengals history. And we've had guys like A.J. Green and Ocho Cinco and guys like that are genuine top 5 players at their position not get that kind of money. So what it takes is a genuine chance and a good quarterback, which currently the Bears do not have.
We'll have him next year.
Yeah, once you get Caleb Williams, maybe.
Hopefully.
Not getting Caleb Williams. We're sticking with Justin Fields.
No, we're not. We're not.
But you know what?
Tank
No,
for
it would be
Archie
great
Manning.
Are you
If the Panthers are really bad,
Justin Fields.
Marvin Harrison,
Justin Fields
if they can maybe get Marvin Harrison, that'd be nice. But I just
is a
don't see it.
bust.
I don't.
Justin Fields is still somehow the second
He needs
best.
to develop.
in that
I
class.
think he still needs to develop more.
Develop more. It's his 3rd year. He should
No,
be
it's
developed.
third.
He's done. There's no shot, Jack.
He should be
3
developed.
years
It's
is that.
you.
You're
Here's
You're
the,
wasting
okay.
time.
With the
Let me go off on
quarterback,
that.
with the quarterback, you get your rookie year. Nobody cares. You get another chance. That's your year to get up to speed of the game at the most complex position in the game. Second year, you expect a jump considerably. They need to get better. Trevor Lawrence got better. I mean, technically it's his 4th year, but the Urban Meyer year, I don't think really people count that because that was just a
that was
really
fine.
extraneous
Picking
situation for him. But then the 3rd year, they are either good or they are bad. And right now, Justin Fields looks bad.
He doesn't look bad. He looks ass. I mean, this guy's been giving 3 years, and he doesn't do anything. I mean, going off of your point, Jack, give him time to develop. How much more time do you want from Justin Fields?
This
guy,
Eventually, you
guy
got to
sucks.
extend him. You got to
I mean,
extend him if you want more
listen,
time.
he's
And
got-
quarterbacks right now are expensive.
More
Justin
time.
Fields has skill. Let's not get that wrong. Like, he is a talented quarterback, or some say running back. He does well running the football, but he can't read a defense. His reads are atrocious. He can't throw a football with accuracy. He's done absolutely nothing. He was the worst fourth quarter quarterback in the NFL last year. And you've got to let it go. Obviously, week 1, it might be an overreaction, but I don't think it is because they've looked like the exact same team 2 years in a row. And they had a big offseason this year. They brought in a lot of guys. You threw away that number 1 pick for a wide receiver that, okay, maybe Pro Bowl
They're
type
good,
wide receiver.
not Pro Bowl.
And
DJ Moore is not a Pro Bowl.
DJ Moore, borderline maybe.
Borderline if like people get hurt, but throwing away the whole first pick.
Yeah, no.
For that guy, no.
Who did you guys
have
draft
to
with the
draft
4th
him.
pick that you guys got?
Oh, we traded
didn't-
down. We traded
Oh,
down.
you
and
traded
got-
Traded down
down.
like twice.
Oh, right, you got the
I don't
offensive
know.
tackle that got hurt immediately.
Yep.
I like him though. He
It's-
looks
Yeah,
really
I
good.
mean, he looks
He looked
fine.
like
He looks fine.
Oh,
Not
That's
good.
you're not restarting your franchise on the O-line though.
With the tackle.
Yeah.
They're in such a mess. The mess that they are in might be the worst in the league. I mean, with all these other teams, it's like it's clear that they're tanking. But with the Bears, like you're in a terrible division
They're
too.
trying
Can we
to
get
win.
that out the
They're
way?
trying to
First
win.
thing is Green Bay.
They're just
Green
failing.
Bay did not look that good. Green Bay did
No,
not
they
look that
didn't.
good yet. 2
Look,
nights ago.
okay. I mean,
But with
Coverage
the
was
Bears,
horrible. Luke
Jordan,
Musgrave
you have
was
to find a
open so
way
many
to
times.
get out, and Fields is not the end. So
Here's the thing.
I'd look at the backup quarterback.
They might be the
Bad
only
shit
team in the
or
league
whatever.
right now that is actively really trying to win and not
And it's
doing a
bad.
good job.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of teams that, yeah, they're bad, but they're in like the natural lull. They're not making signings like the Bears were. And the Bears are the only team in the league that's trying to win and being a bottom feeder team. It's just embarrassing, really. It's embarrassing.
Yep.
I think it all goes back to quarterback, honestly, right now,
Yeah.
and defense, obviously. Defense is a whole nother issue, but on the offensive side, it is not the running back fault. It's not this. I'm not trashing Khalil Herbert. He's a great third down back, but he's not a number 1 running back. That's not his fault. I mean, our receivers are fine. I mean, is DJ Moore worth? Is he going to have unrealistic expectations because we traded him for a number 1 overall pick? Absolutely. But he did his job when he got targeted. Darnell Mooney, good wide receiver. Robert Tonyan, Cole Kmet.
He's an okay wide receiver.
Yeah, all of
Let's
these
calm
guys are
down here.
okay.
Let's
All
calm
of these
down.
guys are okay. These are a lot of
Kmet's not
mid-wide
even that
receivers.
good.
When I'm saying good, I'm saying good in terms of where he fits in, and he fits in as a he should be probably a number 3 guy. If you're slotting him on the number 2, maybe he's a little slightly below average number 2. He's a good 3. I mean, Chase Claypool is that's one of the worst trades I've seen.
Waste of a
waste of a second round. That's ridiculous.
I don't know how he's in the league.
I don't know why he's on a roster. He does not want to play football.
He's horrible.
He's
going through the motions.
He half runs his routes.
One.
He doesn't block, and he celebrates getting a first down when you're in the middle of a 2-minute drill. He does not want to play NFL
St.
football.
Brown is our second best wide receiver.
It's brutal out there for you guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's really bad for them.
We should just move on to Monday night right now.
My team lost 24-3, and I think your team, it's worse for you than it is for me. Yeah. So Monday night, let's talk about the Jets first before we go off on the Bills. Jets, Aaron Rodgers commits highway robbery, tears his Achilles. He's out for the season, 3 snaps into the season. Zach Wilson comes in relief. Kind of balls out a little bit.
Wilson.
Looked fine.
Yeah,
he looked fine to me. He looked pretty good.
I thought once Rodgers came out, I thought the Bills were guaranteed to win because Zach Wilson's been just horrible.
He made the right reads,
which is hilarious.
And he hit the throws he was trying to hit, except for the one pick. That was a little weird, but he obviously progressed under Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
he obviously got better.
Yeah.
Because last year he was really disjointed. The Jets defense, top 3 in the league. They looked so good.
Yeah.
They looked so good.
It goes probably 49ers or Cowboys, then Jets, whichever one.
Yeah.
Or Cowboys, whichever one you want to put there. I don't care. They're both insane.
Sauce Gardner, Whitehead had 3 picks. Jermaine Johnson was getting in there every play. Quinnen Williams had that fumble recovery, like you said. They looked so good. And Josh Allen.
Not a top 5
This is about to get really controversial. Josh Allen, I don't think is that much better than Daniel Jones. I also don't think he's that much of a different player to Daniel Jones. He runs the ball. He's big. He runs the ball with power. He throws the ball in a way that would make any head coach put their head in their hands because he gambles with the football. And when you have 85 turnovers through 3 years, you're not going to win football games consistently.
I mean,
I think he's fine. I think we'll have to see.
No, he's not.
The rest
he's
of the
not
season.
fine. Last year we saw it. We saw the writing on the wall last year that the turnovers are gonna be a major issue because as this roster declines,
he had years to work it out, and he did it.
There's a Mahomes. We've seen it. I think we're gonna see it a little bit this year. He's gonna make the roster around him better. Burrow's done it his rookie year. People forget he was averaging like 350 yards a game. He was having an incredible year before he blew out his knee. Josh Allen, I think, is not that type of player where he can elevate the roster around him because he gambles with the football. So when he doesn't have receivers that can go up and bail him out of that, the ball gets picked off.
The talent's there, but the interceptions are too much. There's no consist. I mean, well, there is consistency. There's consistency, and I'm gonna turn the ball over 27 times a game. I mean, it's not good. Josh Allen.
Let me add something to the Bills. Is that the offense as a whole? And I know a lot of the blame is on Josh Allen. And let me get this out of the way with the Bills in general. Is that what have they really done in the last
nothing
4 or 5 years?
Literally
Josh
nothing.
Allen. They've won the division because let's face it, Tua was hurt. That's why they won the division. But this team offensively, they don't really have anybody for him to throw the football to.
They don't have an offensive identity.
They have one good wide receiver, one good quarterback, and that's it. They have absolutely no running game. That just doesn't exist. They don't even try to run the ball.
Josh Allen consistently leads them in rushing, which is terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Same situation as the Bears, in a way.
Well, with the Bills, and it's like this is a team where everybody thinks that they're like the face, one of the faces of the league.
Yeah.
When in reality,
they're on their way out.
They've lost 2 divisional playoff games. I've never seen a team that has been praised for losing more than the Buffalo Bills. It is unbelievable. And I think when you look at the division, the AFC East as a whole, they're going to have a really rough time this year.
I really want to emphasize that. They get so much praise for losing. It's incredible.
They do.
Like to say something about
that one against the Chiefs, all-time game, great game. They played well. That was a really good Bills team. But I have never seen a team get praised for losing a football game in the playoffs. They lost the game in the playoffs and got praised for it. That was
13
terrible.
seconds of
It
one
was
stop
terrible.
away.
And then the next year, they come back. They get punched in the face by the Bengals in the snow at home, which is apparently the hardest place to play in the NFL. They got smoked, and they still get praised for it. It's ridiculous.
Would you like to hear another Bills opinion?
They shouldn't have even been there in the first place. They barely beat the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson. They beat them by 3 in the wild card. This team is, I think, the most overrated team in football.
It's terrible.
Would you like to hear another Bills opinion?
Let's hear it.
Good, Colin, go ahead. This is my roommate. Go off, King.
They are absolute frauds who have been put on a pedestal for years because of one playoff game where they almost beat the Chiefs. It's constant failure from this regime, from the roster as a whole. Josh Allen can't play 2 good games in a row to save his life. Yeah. It's all that one playoff run where the 13 seconds happen. That is all their playoff legacy is built on. And that's what this roster's whole legacy has been built on is they almost beat the Chiefs one year. Everything else has been total failure.
Yes,
thank you, Colin.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go back even further, their entire playoff legacy is losing 4 Super Bowls in a row. This team is cursed.
That's exactly what it is.
But also, they had their chance, and they couldn't get it done against the Chiefs, and it's been downhill.
And that window is closing because you've guys
think that window is firmly shut. That window is firmly shut.
The Dolphins are shooting up, and honestly, I know that a lot of people might not want to hear it. I'm looking at the New England Patriots. Yes, they look pretty damn good on Sunday with Mac Jones.
Looked good.
Finally, Mac Jones is throwing the football, and he's doing it well. They looked really good, even though they lost. I think Sunday night with the Dolphins and
Patriots,
lost
against the reigning NFC champs. I can't blame them for that. They played well. Right. They took them to the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
I think they're the second best team in the division. I mean,
that's fair.
0-1.
Well, I guess
if
Zach Wilson wasn't quarterbacking, I could see that. I think the Jets, by merit of their defense, are the second best team in the division.
It's the Patriots. I think
New England's more complete.
I think that Jets defense is going to rip Mac Jones a new one when they play. Or not Mac Jones. Mac Jones. Maybe. Sorry, what am I saying? They're going to rip Mac Jones a new one.
I mean, we thought that division was going to be one of, if not the best
severely
in football.
Underwhelming.
It turns out
like
it might
AFC
be the
West
worst.
Last year. Everybody thought it's going to be the Broncos, Raiders, and Chiefs.
I mean, it's not the NFC North. It's not that bad, but it's not. It's not a top 2 division.
I wouldn't call it the worst. I'd say it's probably just the most severely underwhelming.
Yeah, I would say severe. I would go probably the most underwhelming division I've ever seen.
What is the best division right now? Like
maybe
you could say the
North?
AFC North. It's weird because the numbers don't show it because they just beat each other up all season, and they
think
AFC North football is historically a really weird brand of football. And you'll get like the 4 teams finishing. It'll be like a team finishes 9-8, 10-7, and like 12-5, and one of them will make the playoffs. And it's just really strange. And the Browns will be at the bottom where they belong.
Yes.
And I think it's either them or like the NFC West maybe, but whatever.
Going back to the Bills,
really matter, but the Bills, man, keep going.
Going back to Josh Allen here, I think with him being on the Madden cover this year, the Madden curse will strike him in some way.
It already has. He threw 3 picks to the same person.
Yeah, but I think
that's wild. 3 to the same
curse,
guy.
I think
it was like the same throw every time, just a 10-yard overthrow of the same receiver.
Yeah,
it was so bad.
It was double coverage, no chance for the guy to get the ball.
Because what's happened in the past with the Madden curse, the player's gotten injured. So,
well, he got hurt last year. I don't think his elbow's right. And also, the way Josh Allen runs the football makes me livid.
Yeah.
There was one play, he sort of half went down. He was like low, but he wasn't sliding at all. He was trying to make a move. He just got rocked by one of the safeties for the Jets. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Reed. He got destroyed. No chance of making the first down. He was still like 4 yards short. You have to slide. They are paying him so much money to play football, and he is throwing around his body so recklessly.
I have some. There are sources that Tariq Cohen, former running back of the Chicago Bears, is signing with the Panthers. I don't know.
Why would they want
Holy mid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's a confusing signing if that's true. That's an actual thing that happened. I mean, that's hilarious. I mean, that's an unnecessary signing.
The one thing about the Bills is that when you look at, like Josh Allen, he played bad. He probably won't play as bad again.
Oh, he might. That is one of the best defenses in the league, but it wasn't even necessarily great picks or anything. It wasn't guys leaping up in the air and making like one-handed interceptions over a guy or like running down a ball. It was just him throwing the ball to the other team. Like he was playing 500 on the playground. Like,
so you look at this team and it's like, okay, just thinking of their division games last year. Honestly, they might, because they never really they were in close games for a lot of those. They lost to the Jets, they lost to the Dolphins, and then they probably should have lost. They lost to New England as well. I mean, actually, I think they beat New England, but they were in close games. New England almost beat them last week of the year, and Dolphins almost beat them in the snow. Again, they lost at the Jets. But this year now, having already lost a game to a division opponent, that's big, because that's going to be head-to-head tiebreakers and stuff when we get into January, December, stuff like that. That's going to be big. And I think I am a little bit concerned, not a little bit, I am concerned with their ability to beat divisional opponents.
Yeah, so
because I think the Dolphins have their number.
I've got last season pulled up here. So weeks 1 and 2, they went 31-10 and 41-7 against Rams, who were not great, and the Titans, who were bad last year. They play a decent team in Miami. They lose 21-19. They play another decent team in Baltimore. They only win by 3. They beat up on a miserable Steelers team, 38-3. Then they play the Chiefs. They win 24-20. That was a good game, but they only won by 4. They play the Packers, who were not good last year. They only beat them by 10. They lose against the Jets, 20-17. They collapse against the Vikings, 33-30. They only beat the Browns by 7. They only beat the Lions by 3. They only beat the Patriots by 14. And last year, the Patriots were not good. They beat the Jets, but only by a score. They beat the Dolphins by 3. They beat the Bears pretty good, but the Bears were the worst team in the league last year. No contest against the Bengals, but the way that game was going, they were looking to get destroyed. And then they only beat the Patriots by a couple scores in a meaningless game. Like, they don't play well in meaningful games. They almost lose to Skylar Thompson in Buffalo.
7th round draft choice.
And then they get destroyed in the snow in Buffalo, which is where they're supposed to never lose. So, I mean, I'm kind of had it up to here with this team. Concerning. I've had it up to here with them.
Their window is shut. I think they're done.
Yeah.
Go back to the Patriots.
Their window is sealed with super glue, concrete. There is no window anymore. It's a jail cell, but instead of bars, it's just a slab of concrete. There is nothing there.
Yeah.
Going back to the Patriots here, they were talking about the same Patriots team that got blown the hell out at home on Monday Night Football by the Bears, the worst team in the league.
Yep.
So, and this might not be not that good of a take, but
positive thing about the Bears, I'm going to shut you up right here.
Oh no, this is not about the Bears. I only think the Bills and the Vikings are the same team.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, they've never won a Super Bowl. They're always hyped up to being like one of the better teams in their conference. You usually make it decently far in the playoffs. And every single year they disappoint.
Yep.
And right now, I mean, it's the same thing. One good wide receiver and good quarterback. Obviously, Josh Allen's better than Kirk Cousins.
Is he?
But like, I think he's a
he
little
is.
better. I
Just
don't think,
raw ability, raw talent.
think
Yeah,
raw
I can
ability.
get with that. I think Kirk is probably way more refined, but
Yes, but I just think by ability and talent,
Yeah.
Josh Allen's just better. It's not by that much, but it's the same basis of one quarterback, one wide receiver. Hope that carries you.
and also the collapse on Monday night.
Oh,
Overtime,
horrendous.
you get the ball, you have to punt it because
Yeah.
your offense goes nowhere, and then your punt return fails so badly that you lose on a punt return. And the
don't care if there was a
I
penalty.
want to rip into the
It doesn't
punter.
matter.
I want to rip into the Bills punter here for a
Oh my
second.
God.
He went
Oh,
up
he didn't even
and
take
he
his
tried to
attempt.
hit stick the guy. Just stand in front of him and put your arms out. Let the other guys catch up. You don't have to make the tackle, but don't get juked out of your shoes because you're trying to lay down a Madden style hit. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? You're not Pat McAfee. Get out of here. I mean, it was just atrocious. And then Mike Tirico goes out and for the second time in the week says that the win has an asterisk on it, which I hate, and I think he should be banned from calling.
Oh, that was
I hate it. I hate it. It's so
disgraceful.
bad. He
Thursday
should
night.
They need to
that
suspend
was
him from the booth.
absolutely disgraceful.
He says it Thursday night. He says
What a
there's
waste.
an asterisk because there's no Chris Jones and Travis
Right
Kelce.
after the game
Right
ended.
after the
Right
game ended.
after the game
Give
ended.
a little credit, and then he says it
Yeah.
immediately again right after the game ended on Monday night. Give a little credit
Yeah,
to the Jets.
I'm gonna have to.
That makes no sense either. They lost to a team without their star.
How about an
quarterback.
asterisk for Aaron Rodgers going down in the first drive?
Exactly.
Where's that?
It
Like,
should be an asterisk next to a team. It should be next to the Jets for not killing them because Aaron Rodgers was down.
Yeah.
That's where the asterisk
I
should be.
hate
Not,
that.
not next
I
to
hate that so much. The asterisk thing.
Never
Anytime
say that.
anybody does that, it makes me extremely upset because
You
you
can
still
say it for
lost the
every
game.
single game.
Yeah.
You can say it
can
for
say it
every
for
single
every single
game that's
game.
ever been played in the history of sports, and it just doesn't.
Oh well, the Dolphins
Doesn't matter. You watched
Chargers
the game.
game has an asterisk on it because J.C. Jackson decided to be a moron and push down the receiver at the end of
Exactly.
the half, and they got a field goal out of it.
Yeah.
See how stupid that sounds? Like, I just hate it so
the
much.
asterisk
it's-
next to
it's
the
dumb.
frickin' Bears
It's dumb.
Packers game.
It makes me
because-
so mad because they
because
lost
they
the
only
game.
And
play
you're-
anything more. Like,
Well, and
it's-
the bigger issue is that
asterisk
with
should
the
not be a
whole
word.
asterisk.
Screw the word asterisk. Screw its little symbol. Throw that little star out the window. That should never be near a sports conversation.
The problem with it is that it's not that you're making excuses or whatever. It's the fact that you're discrediting a legitimate win,
Especially a
by
good win,
the other
like
team.
a good
If you
hard
want
win.
to put an asterisk next to something, put it next to all the Super Bowls Tom Brady's won, because he haven't done the first three of them. But not against the Detroit Lions, because they went out and they actually played a good game of football. And just because somebody else was missing their tight end, would it have made a difference? Maybe. Would it have made
The
a
Lions
difference
were
if
missing their
Skylar
best deep
Thompson
threat.
wasn't playing? Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
So
I mean,
you could say that against
It's-
anybody, and it's just discrediting for a team that plays well.
yeah, I hate it. So
And what are they supposed to do? Lose to the Chiefs? I
yeah,
mean, like
lose-
they're supposed
if
to
you
go
have
out
the
and win.
opportunity to beat a team, why would you not take it? I hate
Exactly.
that. Like, oh, they should have lost. Well, they didn't. Why would they lose? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
all right, week 2. Let's get this thing rolling here. Let's just go a couple of these big matchups. Thursday night, Vikings-Eagles. I feel like the Vikings are about to get punched in the
Yeah,
mouth.
Vikings are about to get
Yep.
It's over.
Where's the game?
stomped on.
Divisional matchup.
Vikings lose by however much you
Yeah.
want to say. They
Where's
lose by
the
that.
Philly game?
The Philly game
Eagles Vikings.
is in Philadelphia. It is over for the
Philadelphia's
Vikings.
winning.
It's a
Eagles.
massive.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bye, Vikings. Have a nice time.
Ravens-Bengals divisional matchup. Bengals try to bounce
Where?
back a little bit. This is in Cincinnati.
The
Cincinnati.
Bengals win this game.
Yeah,
I
I think they try to come. They
close.
come back with a bit of a vengeance. I think Joe Burrow.
Baltimore didn't look good. I think Cincinnati wins.
Yeah.
I think we can all
Cincinnati
agree that the
can-
Lions are going to beat the Seahawks.
Yes.
Oh,
no offensive
it
tackles.
could-
no
Seahawks
tackles.
could
They
bounce
don't
back.
have tackles. The
Where's the
Seahawks
game?
could bounce
Seattle or
back.
Detroit?
This game is in
It's
Detroit.
Oh,
So
it's over.
It's
It's over.
interesting because I think the Lions are a far superior team, but I don't think the Seahawks are a bad team by any stretch of the
No,
imagination.
but they don't
I
have
think
their
it'll be
tackles.
close.
I think Seattle maybe could win, but I still think Detroit wins.
They don't have their
Okay.
tackles. It's not going to happen.
We've got the battle of mid, Colts versus Texans. I don't think anybody even really cares.
Yawn.
Yeah, Skip that one.
I guess.
Bears,
Texas.
Buccaneers. I'd have to pick
Bucks.
Buccaneers here.
Buccaneers. The Bears played terrible.
The
I don't think it
Buccaneers
changes.
are a
Buccaneers.
gritty football team. The way they ran the ball against the Vikings, who have a pretty solid defensive front, was incredible to me. Rashad White was pushing for every yard he could get. Baker, I said it before, Baker was putting his shoulder down, getting the team ready, fired up, because he's playing for a contract at this point. So is Mike Evans. I think they're a sleeper team. In my eyes.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bucks. I've given up on the Bears. They suck.
Chiefs,
Buccaneers.
Jaguars in Jacksonville.
Where?
In
Jags.
Jacksonville. I low-key think
honestly,
the Chiefs could be going
Jacksonville.
0-2. The Chiefs could be 0-2.
Jags.
Depends if Kelsey's back. Chris Jones is back, but I think his impact is very overstated in my eyes. I think
Well, and you're going on the road.
Yeah, you're going on the road. Especially after a loss like that. Yeah.
So Jags won. Jackson.
They're hungry in Saxonville.
I like Jackson.
They are. Trevor
Jacksonville's
Lawrence is
back.
really good. Calvin Ridley is really
Calvin
good.
Ridley looked
He
so
looked
good.
incredible.
Calvin Ridley, really good.
Packers Falcons. I think the Falcons could win this.
Falcons win this.
Atlanta
Jordan
Falcons.
loves
Falcons,
Jordan
their
loves
run
Ingram.
game is really interesting, actually, the way they run their offense.
Bijan Cordero. I mean,
You're
those
getting away
dudes.
with having a mediocre quarterback in Desmond Ritter who's just not developed enough yet because he didn't get to play
he
last
threw a
year that
pass
much.
to himself.
Yeah,
That's
Tyler
he threw some
Algier
good-
played really well
He
last
threw some
on
good
Sunday.
passes, but limiting the amount of times Ritter has to put the ball in the air is great, especially when you have three
Yes,
really good
absolutely.
running backs.
Yes.
Yeah, Tyler Algier played really well.
Yep,
on
he did.
Sunday.
He did. Raiders Bills in Buffalo.
Raiders.
Vegas.
Jimmy, I
Yeah,
I have
give me
no
Vegas.
faith in the Bills.
Yeah,
Raiders take this.
Vegas
This
looked
is
good.
not-
Garoppolo
I
looked
just don't
good.
That
trust
was a
Josh.
weird game.
I don't trust
That
Josh
was a weird
McDaniels. He's a
game.
really bad
With
coach.
the long
Neither do
possession.
I.
Things
I
Yeah.
don't trust the Bills in the slightest.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders take
I think
this.
the only
it's gonna be
thing
a
that the
game
Bills have
10.
going for them here is that the Raiders defense is nowhere near as good as their Jets defense. But also, we'll see if the confidence is shaken a little bit for the Bills. Chargers Titans. I think the Chargers are going to smoke
Oh.
the Titans.
Chargers are going to smoke them.
Yep,
I don't care
not
where
even
it is.
close.
Niners Rams. This is going to be another
Yeah, no.
devastating game.
49ers.
It's in LA, so it
Rams
might as
played
well be a
well.
home game for San Francisco.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. The
Shout
Niners
out
win.
Declan Sports Desk on Instagram.
Yeah, follow him. He's gonna be depressed
Yeah.
watching that game.
Yeah,
He's a true good friend.
and then
Yeah. True Rams fan too. One of the
let's go Puka Nakua. Hopefully gets on my fantasy team.
Who?
yeah Puka.
Puka Nakua. The
All
new
right.
Put out
leading
100
target
yards.
getter for the Rams, apparently. Giants, Cardinals. Giants, I think, are going to roll the Cardinals. This is going
Giants,
to be
but don't watch the game.
If they don't win
watch it.
that,
They don't deserve to have your eyes. It'll be their get-back game.
you know, the Giants. I'm
Here we
looking at
go.
this. Micah Parsons defended Daniel Jones, saying, fourth quarter, he was saying the Giants were wrong to keep him in.
Yeah,
that big
and he
of a
kept
blowout.
going out there, and he kept taking the hit and getting back up, and I like that.
Yeah.
Jets, Cowboys, here we go. This could be interesting.
Oh, another
Cowboys.
don't watch.
Cowboys.
Really? I'd say watch this one. I think this is going to be a good one.
You want to watch Zach Wilson against Dak Prescott?
Yes, sir.
You won't be seeing any of them
No,
go
we're not
over
watching
200
Zach Wilson
yards.
versus Dak Prescott. We're watching Sauce Gardner versus Micah Parsons. That's what we're watching.
Well, neither quarterbacks are going over 200 yards.
It's gonna
that
be
game,
brutal.
but I gotta go
Take-
Dallas.
Take all the
Speedy is
unders.
gonna
Take
be
all the
interesting.
unders.
Yep.
Like, it's brutal.
And it's
Zach
probably
Wilson's
going to be
gonna
nationally
Yeah, it's
televised.
gonna be. I
Yeah.
mean, the only overs you should take are
Sacks.
carries.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Sacks. Those two.
We
Take
got-
those
Parsons
two.
Rams going to be interesting. though.
Commanders, Broncos.
Don't watch
Another
it.
don't watch
Don't
this
watch
game.
this.
Oh, ew.
Dolphins, Patriots. This could
Don't
be
let your
interesting.
children watch.
Miami.
I think Miami takes
Yes.
this, but the
I
Patriots,
think
this is a
Miami wins.
game where they can prove that they're the real deal.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for New England because of how they have to deal
And
with the
that
Dolphins
is Sunday Night
offense.
Football. That is Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I-
then
I
here we
think
go.
Miami wins.
We get ourselves a Monday night doubleheader, baby. Saints Panthers. Do
yeah.
not watch that football game. Browns
I'll watch
Steelers. Do not watch that
do
football
not watch
game.
that football.
Yeah.
That's four
I gotta
horrible
go-
teams getting national games.
Please don't. They had
Why did they?
4 teams on it because every team they scheduled on that slate.
They could have had
So-
Seahawks Lions on Sunday Night Football, and they said no. We're
No,
gonna put
they
Saints
suck.
Panthers.
Aren't they on at the
It's-
same time too?
Yeah,
so you
it's
can
so
even
dumb.
watch both of
6:15
them.
and
Yeah, it
7:15.
So
doesn't make
currently,
sense.
my roommate's trying to gaslight
Oh my
me into
God.
thinking the Browns are good when they're clearly
They're not. They're really not.
No.
Oh,
Stop
they're not.
gaslighting me.
They're not bad. I
They're-
don't know what you're saying.
Yeah,
no,
they are.
they're bad.
It's the
Not good.
Browns, buddy.
No. Browns are the Browns.
Colin.
Like Jamar Chase said, Cleveland is Cleveland.
Cleveland is Cleveland. Cleveland is Cleveland.
Cleveland will Cleveland.
Yeah, those are our predictions. I think what'll be interesting is the Bengals bounce back. That'll be interesting. We'll see if the Bears can do anything. I don't think they can.
No.
Because
Can't.
the Buccaneers defense is pretty stout too. Vita Vea is about to eat. He's gonna take Justin Fields' lunch money.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's gonna have a steak dinner with Justin
Yeah.
Fields. That man is gonna be
Sunday night's good too.
Sunday night's
Division
good game. That's a good
games.
game.
Sunday night.
Divisional games are always good.
Divisional games on Sunday Night
Just-
Football are my favorite. Yeah.
I just don't. I'm annoyed with the doubleheader on Monday night.
And
I hate that.
They're
New
like,
England.
hey, here's your Monday night doubleheader.
Have two of the worst
Push
teams
the
in
teams.
football.
At the same time, so it's
Yeah.
not even really a double.
You gotta
Could have been.
you gotta flip
Could've
between
featured the Bears and the
two
Cardinals.
garbage teams. All right.
And the thing about the Sunday night, New England honoring Tom Brady, so hopefully the Dolphins can stick it to him and spoil
Didn't they
Tom
already
Brady's.
do that?
Yeah, they already. Did
I don't know.
that.
They're doing something
Yeah,
with him.
last
They'll do
Sunday.
something for him like every day for the rest of his life.
Why would
because he's-
Brady not? Why would Brady invest in the Raiders? Because Robert Kraft would have definitely given him stake in the team.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
get
It's
that.
Vegas.
I still think he should have. The Patriots are infinitely more valuable than the Raiders.
It's true,
Las
but
Vegas,
like
though.
Jeff said, it's Vegas. It's
True.
like it's
Yeah, I get that.
Vegas.
And I don't think he can own two teams, so he's kind of pigeonholed himself there.
I mean, unless he sells a stake and then
He
goes
should, I
buys.
think, but I think.
Do you know he can come? He can play for the Raiders if he decides.
Yeah, that would be cool. But also, he's got this huge deal at Fox waiting for him, which is kind of strange.
I thought he turned it
Oh
down.
my God, yeah.
No, he had a huge deal. He's doing it in 24.
Oh yeah, he's got like that 10-year, like $360 million.
They gave him like
deal or
a
something.
Mike Trout contract to talk about.
It can be garbage
talk about
too.
football. If
to
he's
be
not,
terrible at.
no,
what he
I think he'll
does.
be a decent broadcaster.
Yeah, he'll be.
Where is he
alright.
gonna be? Like,
Fox.
Are they gonna put him in the prime
Fox.
time? I know that, but like,
They're
are they
giving
gonna
him
do?
Greg.
Like,
They're
most
giving him
game of the
Greg
week?
Olson's job.
No.
And Greg Olson's good. I like him. He's good.
Yeah.
They kept bucking Aikman.
Where's
I don't know
Greg
why they
Olson gonna
changed
go
that.
then? Are they just gonna scrap Greg Olson?
No,
No,
they're,
he'll be
they're
moved to
pushing him
12
up to
o'clock.
the 12 o'clock slot.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that was our week 2, or I guess our week 3/week 2 podcast. This is kind of turning into a bit of a football centric thing, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Football fever is high. So thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. That's in the bio. Make sure you subscribe and do all that stuff so that we can get more views. Yeah, thanks for watching.